Hey guys, how's it going? How are we doing? Thank you for taking the time to tune in with myself. Super appreciate that. Now look, in this video, I'm going to be touching on one of the more common mistakes that people make, specifically beginners, when they're first getting started off in their service accommodation journey. Now look, before I dive deep into that, I just want to let you know that in this channel, I cover everything related to service accommodation, rent to rent. So if you're not someone that's looking to build up on their knowledge, that's looking to absorb as much information as possible about this subject before getting involved, definitely smash that subscribe button. I'm putting out videos constantly on a weekly basis, so you will definitely take value from it. Now, what is this common mistake that a lot of beginners make when they're first getting started off with this? Now, this has to do with, the area or the locations that people are searching for deals in. Now look, when you are first getting started off, it's ideal for you not to necessarily get a deal that's too far away from you, i.e. a deal that's on the other side of the country, because of course we want to understand the process first. We don't want to be traveling back and forth all the time because time is very, very important. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we need to restrict ourselves to just certain areas to where, we're only looking for areas in that deal, in that location. And this is what I see many people doing time and time again when they're first getting started out with this. I would say a decent proximity to work with when you're first getting started off is around an hour, maximum an hour and a half within your location to search for deals. But again, this is just for you once you get your first property to understand the process, how it all works, and for you to be able to put the right systems in place. Really and truly, when you are taking on a property, you should initially be going to that property, for the setup stage. For the setup stage, to make sure everything's good to go, everything's in place, you have the right team, you have the right systems, etc. And then you get things moving. And then after that, you don't necessarily have to go back to that property if you've got the right things in place and the right setup in place, of course. Once we fully go through that process, now we can start looking a little bit further ahead, because it's not going to be too much of a problem for us. Let's say, for example, you're based in London, but then you come across a deal in Manchester. Well, because we fully understand the process now in terms of how things work, what needs to be in place and what's needed to get the property up and running, we could be there initially for the setup stage, which isn't a problem. But then after that, we're not having to go to that property ever again. We could be managing it completely remotely and still be generating ourselves some nice monthly cash flow. And honestly, there's really no limits as to what locations you can be taking deals on. And this is the beauty behind getting involved in this strategy. If you're based, let's say, for example, in London and you're taking on a deal in Newcastle, this could be doable because you could be managing these deals completely remotely. And you can even get to the point where you don't even have to go to the setup stage because you've got that experience now. You fully understand how things work. So you're outsourcing that part. You're outsourcing that part to, a setup company, to where they go there, they set up the furnishing, they set up all the decoration, and they get the photographies done for you as well. So that can definitely be done as well. Also, if you're someone who's looking to have the whole thing done for you, for example, you get a management company to manage the property for you, then it doesn't really matter what location it's in, because you're not going to be managing the property. It's going to be the management company that's going to be managing these properties. And because I've just touched on management companies just now, I want to make a point about them. Even with management companies, they, a lot of them have many properties. And if they have properties all over the country, and I know this as well because I actually had a management company at one point as well, they're not going to be going to all of the properties in these different locations across the country because they don't need to. They've got the right systems. They know that all they need is the right team on the ground just for them to get the right systems in place, and then they're good to go after that. So look, if we're just taking a few steps back now, for us, of course, or for yourself, you may be in the learning phase, you may be looking to absorb as much information as possible before you actually take that initial step in to get your first deal. So what I would say for you is have a radius of the location that you're going to be searching in, ideally within an hour, maximum an hour and a half from where you are right now. And then once you actually go about finding a deal for yourself, and then you fully go through the whole process and understanding how things actually work, this is when we can get the ball rolling and be looking much further afield as well. But having said that, that's not to say that you can't also get started off even, taking on a property that's 5 hours away. And in fact, I'll give you a perfect example of how you can go about doing that right now. One of my clients, a person who's on my program right now, his name is Yusibu. Now, I got together with Yusibu a few months ago, and it took him just 2 months to secure 4 deals. that will be generating him around £4,000 in profit each month. And one of the main reasons as to why he was able to secure, that many deals within a short space of time is because, we didn't restrict ourselves to just certain locations. And of course, because Yusibu had me working with him side by side, he was a part of my program, and he understood everything from the get-go. That allowed him to, implement the right things, put in place the right systems, and put in place everything that was needed to allow him to manage a property that was, far away from him, completely remotely. So that's an example of how you can go about even starting off taking on properties that are far away from you, is by having that concrete knowledge and that help and that support from early on to allow you to do so. And when we're doing this, when we are really doing it this way, there's honestly no limits as to how many deals we can take on. Think about it. We're talking about the whole country right now. How many properties are there available to be rented? Tens of thousands, literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of properties available to be rented right now as we speak. And this is something you can definitely be taking advantage of and definitely leveraging to allow yourself to build and grow a profitable serviced accommodation business. And this is what I wanted to bring to your attention right now, because it's very, very important that you understand the potential behind getting involved in something like this. And it doesn't have to take you a long time. It really doesn't have to take you a long time to get yourself to the certain point to where you're even surpassing that 10K per month goal. I mean, think about this for a second. How many properties do you need, let's say, to actually get to that point? Well, if each property, let's say, for example, is paying you £1,000 on average. Now look, of course, not every single property is going to be paying you £1,000 or more than £1,000. It depends on the location, the size of the property, amongst other things. But if we're going with averages, let's just say £1,000 per property per month. Well, 10 of those properties will be able to allow you to do that. I just gave you an example of my client Yusibu securing 4 within the space of 2 months. I myself got involved with this 2 years ago. So this should give you an understanding of just how much can be done from this within a short space of time. Of course, with the right approach, with the right knowledge, and us having the right action plan to follow as well. So I just wanted to come on here and share that with you. Hopefully you found out super helpful. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. Again, don't forget to subscribe if you're looking to, of course, learn a lot more about this subject, service accommodation, rent to rent, and all the different elements involved to allow you to get involved in this, to get started off on the right foot, and to build up a profitable service accommodation business, of course. So I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you do your thing. Thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one.